I'm here with Kun Pat from AV Businesses Company Limited, and she is going to enlighten you about all these different details you need to know about buying property in Thailand. So Kun Pat, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what is actually the first thing you have to do when you want to buy a property in Thailand?
To me, it's going to be finding a really good real estate agent, because lots of people, they are trying to find houses and land, condominiums without real estate agent. But you know what? You really need help from the agency, because number one, they are local people. They know the area. They speak Thai. And some of the landlords, the owner, the sellers, they are Thai, and you won't be able to communicate with them because not every Thai people can speak English. The agency, they can help you to find a fair price properties. They will act as a middleman who care for your interest. They will deal with the seller, and they will help you with the land office as well. In Thailand, you might not know the laws, but they know the laws. And especially the owner of the property, some of them, they don't know the laws too. So they just want to do what they want to do for their own interest. So good real estate agent is the best, is the first option that you need to find.
So before buying a property, you need to do some legal checking.
Yes.
And you need to prepare yourself not to buy some property that actually is not for sale.
Yeah, for this I have direct experience myself, because I tried to buy a house, and then that house did not belong to the guy who contacted us. Remember that you are going to spend a big part of your saving in buying properties in Thailand. So what you need to know is that to check the laws, right? And number one, you have to know that foreigners cannot buy lands in Thailand. Number two, if you would like to buy some condominiums, foreigners cannot own more than 40% in that condominium buildings. And foreigners can rent lands or houses for up to 30 years. And the most important thing is that the type of the channels. The channel is title deed. There are different types of channel. You must not buy anything with Nor Saw Sam and Nor Saw Sam Kor if you're not Thai national. The strongest channel, the strongest title deed is channel. And the next thing is that if you would like to buy some condominiums in Thailand, you will have to seriously check that does the land is in a freehold or a leasehold. Because if it's freehold, if you buy that unit of the condominium, that condominium belongs to you. You can sell, you can trade, you can pass on to your heirs. But if that building, the condominium, is built on the leasehold land, you might be able to sell, you might be able to trade that condominium, but you might not be able to pass it to your heir, because the land belongs to someone else, and you will be the owner of that condominium up until the lease agreement, and normally 30 years, and after 30 years that condominium might not be yours anymore. So these are small little things that you really need to seriously do the checkings.
So that's where the agent and legal counsel come in.
Yes, you really need very good real estate agency, a lawyer, an accountant who can check about the taxes and everything for you. And another most important thing that you really need to check is that the title deed, the channel. If the seller is a person, you will need to make sure that he has the clear right on the title deed on the channel. If the seller is a company juristic person, you will need to do a due diligence. Check the balance sheet in the past 3 years to check that does the company have any debts, any reliables, any court case, any unpaid wages of the staff, building permit. Because these small little things will affect you when you take over the company.
Yeah, when you buy a company, you buy the activities of the company, but you also buy the passives of the company.
Yes. You take over the company, you buy a company, you buy everything. Loans, debts, problems, everything.
According to Thai law, foreigners cannot buy land in Thailand. But can they actually buy a house, the building, on a piece of land here legally in Thailand?
Yes, they can. They can buy a whole condominium, the building, minus the land. When I try to buy the house that we are living right now, the seller, they try to just transfer the empty land to us. They did not put the house, they did not register the house on the land. They did not say anything about the house with the land office. They try to save money on transfer fees, and you must not let that happen. Because if you take the land, empty land from them, save money on the save tax money, no house in there. But when you want to sell it, you and your buyer will need to pay the taxes of the land and the house.
So Kunpat, please tell me, what kind of agreement do you have to make with the seller before you even pay a deposit, or of course before you make the transfer of the title deed?
It's called purchase and sales agreement. Normally the seller, they will prepare this contract for you, but it's not supposed to be their default. It's supposed to be fair to the both parties. So you will need someone, you need a lawyer to help you to review the contract, to make sure that is it fair, right? Because normally the contract will have a penalty if you pay late payment, if you don't pay them on time, and if you don't do this and that, will you get your deposit back? Normally you don't get it back. So you need to be very careful, especially the payment term. Is it practical? Is it fair? And every single small detail might cause you problem. So you need someone to help you to check that as well.
What are the taxes that is supposed to be paid in relating to buying or selling property in Thailand?
This is the most popular question in Thailand. There are 4 different types of taxes when you want to buy and sell properties in Thailand. Number 1, transfer fee. Transfer fee is normally 2% from the estimated price. Number 2 is the specific business tax, normally 3.3% from the estimate price or the value of the asset, which one is higher. Number 3, duty stamp. Duty stamp is around 0.5%. And number 4, personal income tax if the seller is a person. Corporate income tax if the seller is juristic person. But there are some exceptions. If the seller is a person and hold the property for more than 5 years, or he has his name in the house book for more than 1 year, he doesn't have to pay for the specific business tax. Just pay for the transfer fee 2%, stamp duty 0.5%, and his personal income tax. How to calculate? If you contact me, I will help you to calculate.
As a foreigner, buying land is prohibited, but there are ways around it. If, for instance, you will ask a person, a wife or a girlfriend, or maybe even establishing a company to hold the land, how do you do that?
Buying land in Thailand is prohibited, as you said, but there is a way around. Some of you use your wife's name, some of you use your girlfriend, boyfriend's name, or even set up a company. Believe it or not, when you go to the land office and you try to use your wife to hold the property for you, the land office will kind of like have another thing to stop you doing that. The thing is that they will ask you to sign on the paper to confirm that the money for buying this property belong to your wife, belong to your girlfriend, not your money, and that is her personal asset. So when you break up with her, you can't touch that property. That you will have to be very careful. People might advise you that, you can make a rent contract for 30 years, or you can do the usufruct, the สิทธิเก็บกิน. But you know what, at the land office they don't care. They will ask you, you are husband and wife, why would you rent a land from her? Why would you pay her rent when you have to stay together? So what is the best way? Do you know what is the best way?
I don't know. I'm quite confused now, but tell me please.
Yeah. The best way that you can do this to protect yourself is to do a pledge agreement, and you can register this agreement at the land office to protect your right over the assets.
And what is it called in Thai?
สัญญาจำนองค่ะ
So then a serious question. After a foreigner dies and he would like to pass on his property to his children, how would he do that?
If the children are Thai citizens, not a big issue here. But if the children are foreigners and they're not living in Thailand, the only thing that you really need to do, even if the children are Thai, you're supposed to do a will. The will is the only thing that you can help you pass on your assets to your children. You cannot trust other people to deal with the asset after you die. Without the will, your children's life will be very difficult.
So let's see that a foreigner, he owns a house in a company name. How would that be included in a will?
Okay, you can pass on your shares of the company to your children. So you have to put specific shares number into the will. And also, when you're still alive, you can probably put your children as one of the directors of the company as well. And must not forget to put every single detail of the asset in the will. โฉนด number, the size of the land, the house number on the โฉนด everything must not skip, not one bit. So you really need a lawyer to help you with this. Keep the will with him or her, and then give the contact details of your children to them, and then make sure that when you are gone, everything will go to your children legally.
Let's say if the foreigner is not in Thailand and he wants to sell the property, cancel the pledge agreement, or doing anything remotely, so to speak, what should he do?
It can be done. He just have to sign a power of attorney, but need to be attested by Thai embassy in his area, in his country, or use a notary service to verify himself.
So that means not signing any power of attorney blank.
No. This is the most important thing that you have to know, that you do not sign a blank power of attorney, because with that piece of paper, you can lose everything. I mean, like everything. ค่ะ
Kun Pat, thank you very much for your time and valuable advice. I'm sure a lot of foreigners have now been enlightened into the problem they could face, but also you've been very nice to give the solutions to. So thank you very, very much.
ขอบคุณค่ะ